Hello, and welcome back to Morning, your marketing science wake-up call, where we talk all things media measurement and market mix modeling. I'm Will Marks, Head of Marketing Science at MediaNext. Today's discussion is for those advertisers looking to take their first few steps into the world of MMM. And I'm lucky enough to be joined by Angus Hill, Head of Performance Marketing at Bupa. Now, Angus has first-hand experience in onboarding and maximizing the value of market mix models. Together, Angus and I are going to be going on a journey through time and space and hearing what advice Angus would have for his younger self when he was just starting out on his journey into the world of market mix modeling. Welcome, Angus.
Thanks, Will. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Nice to see you, and thanks for coming. Let's start off with just hearing about yourself and what you do at Bupa.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm in the marketing team at Bupa, primarily more on the performance marketing side. We focus a lot on sort of more digital media mix across everything, and then also attribution and media mix modeling too. So a bit of a broad scope, I suppose.
Nice. And so thanks for joining me in this time machine, and we're going to take you back to a prehistoric time before you had Growth OS up and running. And I'd love to know what advice you'd be giving your younger self, assuming that talking to yourself doesn't cause catastrophic effects on the timelines, etc. We'll bypass that idea. But let's start with what would be your priorities in what you should be asking for from an MMM vendor?
So I think for us, when we were starting to look at MMM vendors, we wanted to partner with one that we knew was sort of market leading and one that was continuously sort of advocating MMM, as well as also one advancing the tool itself. So constant product development and continuity of sort of like changes within how it actually operates, and also the education part of it as well. So a partner that was going to help educate us and our teams on utilizing it. We'd always had sort of MMM working in the background, but it was never to the point where we felt like we were in control of it, understanding it, able to report on it, and educating internally in the business as well. So that was one of the sort of key priorities for us. The other part to it was around the team behind whoever we were going to choose as our provider. So from two perspectives. One was around the support and actually setting it up. It can be a little bit scary if it's the first one you set up from scratch. So the team supporting us on the actual data supply and what goes into the model. And then the second part to that from a team perspective was around who was actually from the provider's end there to help like the ongoing education, support, insights and analysis piece as well. So that was probably the second key thing that we looked at. The other one was around the intuitiveness of the tool. So for us, wanting to be hands-on in the tool and allowing us, who were pretty much quite, we were novices at MMM when we started up a couple of years ago, being able to just jump in the tool, pull reports, know what you're looking at and understand it, and have it really intuitive so that we as the leads internally and then also wider within the marketing team could jump in the tool and know what's going on as well and be able to pull stuff from it. The other one for us, which was specific, maybe more specific to when we were looking at it, but is like the hierarchy of the model structure as well. We've got a sort of specific way that we need to look at things internally from like a product and a brand perspective. And so that was another important consideration for us when choosing a provider as well. And then also other things like speed to go live as well, wanting to get up and hands on the tool.
Yeah, speed is important. But I guess that links back to that point you made about data supply, which for many people who are new to market mix modeling can be quite an intimidating first step. So again, if you're talking to your younger self, what advice would you have for yourself on how to get onto the front foot and be prepared for getting your model up as fast as possible through being prepared with your data supply?
So I think what we learned pretty quickly was that we needed to engage people a lot earlier than we probably did. We got better at it as we're going through the initial stages, but making sure whoever's picking up MMM from scratch engaging the right teams internally from a couple of areas. One is to make sure that you're actually getting the sources of data that are actually going to be meaningful to the meaningful signals to the model. And the second one is also having sort of stakeholders involved in selection of what data sources, so that there's a lot more trust built in the model. So they're probably the two key things for us. I think we came off pretty lightly in terms of the whole data ingestion. We were pretty lucky with accessibility from a media perspective with the agency who handled that side of it, and then also internal business data as well. We didn't have a huge amount of challenges. It's more just getting people on board, identifying the sources early, and then getting agreement internally on what the right way for that data to be presented would be. We did change up a few data sources and drop some that we thought were going to be useful at the start, and then found that they weren't that meaningful to the model. So I'd probably say also providing more than you think you need at the start is better. It's probably easier to drop sources that aren't useful to the model, rather than feeding in things at a later stage. Well, I think it's possible. It's probably just easier doing it all at the start and pulling out rather than putting in at a later stage.
Nice. And I'm glad you brought up the idea of getting the right people involved early on, because whilst it's a data problem, it starts with being a people problem, and making sure you've got the right people on board and being part of that program, which always makes the whole process much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So hopefully your younger self has made the same great decision you did in going with Mutinex, and they soon get up and running on GrowthOS. What would you then be advising them in terms of how to get the most value over the first 90 days? What should that first 90 days really look like for them?
I think for me, it was very much on the upskilling. So whereas historically we'd sort of used other providers to provide reporting, etc., but then the interpretation on our side probably lacked a little bit of the skill and the knowledge. And so getting your hands into your hands dirty on the tool, pulling the reporting, doing training, Mutinex were very helpful in sort of with the onboarding process, running a whole bunch of training with us, getting us really knowledgeable on the tool, how to use it and how to interpret the results as well, and what we should and shouldn't be looking at, and how to interpret that. So that was really, really helpful, and that got us up to speed a lot quicker than we had been before with other providers. So that's probably the first thing, is just getting your hands dirty and training as soon as you can on that. The second thing for us was around the optimization and reporting cadence. So probably start with building a really strong reporting cadence of it and getting people really familiar with those reports and how to interpret them. And then from that, what are the insights you're pulling from that reporting to then what are you actually going to do with your media plan looking forward, and how much do you tweak that off the back of the results, and then how to then go back after those tweaks to then analyze what the impact of those changes were. So that cadence of reporting, then moving into optimization, then feedback loop of what were the results off the back of that, getting that up as early as possible would be key to long-term success, I think, with adoption of the tool and long-term success in terms of like ROI growth.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely something we see as well, that the greatest benefits come through embedding ongoing practices and moving away from just ad hoc work or ad hoc projects instead. Thank you. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm going to bring you back into the modern day, sadly now, and to where we all are. But I wanted to say a big thank you for joining me and taking us through that journey, your recommendations, hopefully for everyone else who is coming into MMM for the first time. They found that really helpful. But just want to say thanks again for joining me.
Amazing. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.